What were your goals heading into this game?
So our primary goals were definitely to create a really fun and futuristic sci-fi MOBA with an RTS base as well. So that's gonna be a game that pretty much appeals to kind of different markets, but also players that are familiar with each other because they kind of came from the same genre. So we're definitely hoping to create a large game that will eventually become an esport, actually. So that's another goal that we're shooting for.
What's the story in this game?
So the basic story goes along the lines of it's set in the future, in the distant future, and there are at this point a lot of different aliens and races, and there's the humans and a bunch of other factions that have their own agenda of what they're trying to do. Relatively, it's a kind of a chaotic space war between various groups trying to fulfill their goals and their missions within the universe. There isn't a specific storyline. There's a bunch of individual storylines based upon which commander you select. So I don't know if that really helped answer the question for you, but.
Can you delve into the customization options in this game?
Yes, definitely. So there's actually quite a bit of customization in this game. There's both in-game and out-of-game. So when we talk about customization, we can actually divide it into two topics: commander customization and army customization. And those are both going to be variant based upon in-game or out-of-game. So I'll go into that in a little bit. The way that's set up is out of game, you can customize your commanders through accessories and technologies, and that will basically, determine if you want to make them more armor-based, more weapon damage, more power damage, or whatever, specific kind of case you're building a set for. And that's a pretty standard thing in most MOBAs, but the RTS side is actually something that's pretty unique to us. So basically, in Supernova, you have control over your entire minions and army waves, and you can customize each specific unit with these accessories. Whether you want to, give them flat damage, like an extra, 2 damage, or you want to have them more health, or even like weird little upgrades, like 8 damage if you're in the lane with the minions while at the same time they're fighting together, then they'll become stronger. So that's one advantage, and that's one version of customization. There's also global customization. This is still out of game, where you can. It's kind of variant whether you want to focus more on your commander or more on your units, but you can do things like get 10% off of your resurrection timer, or you can add more resources to be gained from when you kill other units, so that way you can get a bigger army. There's quite a bit of options. In game, there's several different kinds of upgrades and customization in there as well. So we have units that are going to be able to have specific upgrades to themselves. So that's going to be maybe a certain type of unit, you can make it to where it's cloaked. Another unit, you can make it to where it's going to heal other party members. So there's kind of a bit of options and upgrades for your army within the game, as well as very blanket kind of upgrades between armor or damage overall. And then the other kind of customization that Supernova has is going to be a cosmetic customization. So that's going to be skins. So commanders, they'll always, of course, come with skins. They'll have the original version, and then players may purchase that cosmetic skin that they, would prefer. These are very different versions, for every single commander. But there's also army skins. So you can, your standard green army can now be turned to pink, for example. So there's quite a bit of options in the visual customization of the units and of the commanders.
What are the different gameplay modes?
So currently we're in alpha testing, so we're only focused on one game mode, just so that we can properly test it and not subdivide our players. It's a limited base, but we do have ideas to expand into. We actually do have the maps and other game modes that we're just, holding on to them until later down the roadmap when it's time to launch those, we will. But our primary game mode right now is a 5v5 standard 3-lane kind of MOBA map where you're just focused on, the ultimate objective of destroying the enemy's auger, or it's their home base name for that building. But there's going to be a couple extra maps that's going to definitely change, and games, the game objective, and then the amount of players that can be in there as well. So they're just not currently released.
How has free-to-play influenced the design of this game?
So quite a bit of ways. Because it's a free-to-play game, we're not going to make anything to give the perception that it's pay to win, because we're not going to make anything where a player gets an advantage because he paid money to get something to make his guy stronger, anything of that nature. What we are doing is we're actually making it a lot easier for people to get the things that they want by providing not only the regular kind of in-game points that you will win from playing matches, and those points can be spent on anything, whether you want to get a new commander or a new army unit. Some things like cosmetic issues are the only things that you'll actually have to pay real money for. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the other thing that we're offering is at the end of each match, players will be provided materials, and those materials, we're creating a craftable kind of idea where you use those materials to craft the accessories that ultimately customize your commander, whether power-based or whatnot. And that really makes it a lot easier on the player because they don't have to it's not going to give that feel that you have to grind the game just to earn these points so that you can have the proper accessories, because we're going to be giving the materials away, which they can then do it easily, craft it into whatever they want. So, on top of the points they'll be getting. So,
can you talk about the multiplayer gameplay experience?
So it's only a multiplayer, actually. There's no single player. There's single player option, in tutorials, and you can play with the AIs, but that's not really the focus for most people. That's just more of a tutorial, or maybe learn this specific commander kind of scenario. Overall, it's a 5 versus 5 match. That's the typical kind of standard edition, and then, like I said, with more game maps or game modes, that is probably going to change, and we'll have maybe you can do like 3 versus 3 and other types of matches.